Molly. But how have you been? How's everything going?
Good. It's been interesting.
Is
Um,
mhm.
Being in teaching, for 23 years, and then I took a break,
Yeah.
and for that year, and then I came back, and they didn't want me. I lost all my tenure, and so
Okay.
I was non-renewed. So I am no longer in the classroom, and it makes me appreciate teachers even more.
Yeah.
So
Wow. So what happened? So you explain that a little bit. Get a little more
okay.
detail here.
I know. So I took a year. I was teaching in the same district for 17 years, and I took a year off to because I have a mission to really empower teachers. And so I took a year off to to go in that direction and see, like, am I should I stay in the classroom? Should I continue my dream of helping teachers at a bigger scale?
Yeah.
And so I took that year off, and I wasn't planning on going back, actually, because I was really making some progress and helping teachers. And then they called me like 2 weeks before school started. And they
Wow.
said, "Hey, we really need a seventh and eighth grade English teacher. Can you please come and teach? Because I have that licensure." And I was like, I'm really missing my students. The beginning of the year, it's so fun to like get into the classroom and you miss your kids. And that's where I was at.
Hmm.
So I said yes. And I went in and I taught for the year, and it was fabulous. I mean, I love seventh and eighth grade. They're definitely my jam. I
Hmm.
hadn't taught them for a while, so it was great. And then in March, I was told that I was non renewed. And when you take a year off in Minnesota, you lose all of your tenure,
Yeah.
and then you lose all of your sick days, and you lose your seniority. But I really didn't. It still hurt. Like, it hurt. I wasn't expecting that, because I mean, I know districts are in budget crisis and
Yeah.
such, and I was at the top of the pay scale with my masters and all the years. So, yeah. But
Wow.
so it was pretty devastating, actually, and it makes me ugh. But
Yeah.
I felt the feels, went through it, and came out ahead. You just got to move through the hard times, and
Hmm.
it's a learning lesson for me, but
Yeah.
it's trajectorying me more to be a support for teachers because they definitely need it.
And how's that going?
It's going really well. It's
That's good.
um over the past 23 years in the grind, I've been through like the highs and the lows, and I'm a huge reader of, Stephen Covey and Carol Dweck, and
Hmm.
just I've always been absorbing this knowledge, and along the way I've been thinking every single teacher needs to know this. Every
Yeah.
single teacher needs to know this. And so I finally am making that happen with I've narrowed it down to like 6 distinct key distinctions that really create a healthy, happy teacher, and
Good.
it is possible. There is hope.
That's
So
funny.
so it's an exhaustion. It's a lot of hard work. It's a different exhaustion than a teacher. There is no sort of exhaustion like a teacher tired. I mean,
Hmm.
and nobody, the outside people aren't going to get it, and that's okay. They're not.
Hmm.
But it definitely hits different. You
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
you're in charge of a whole entire school.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's a lot. I'm at a new school, and the program's bigger that I'm in charge of, and um, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and you got the district's mandates. You have to make sure the district gets taken care of. You got to make sure the parents' needs are taken care of. You got to make sure the teachers' needs are taken care of. You got to make sure the special aid assistants' needs are taken care of. You got to make sure the kids' needs are taken care of, right? So you got
So how
all
do you
these
do that?
needs.
How do you
Yeah,
do it?
hmm you got all these needs, and it's it's prioritizing one thing, right? Like you got to prioritize what's most important. So you got to make sure that you know exactly what you're going to hit today. What's most important? What can you just like okay, I'm not going to take care of that today. I can let that one wait. That one's not important and I can sit on that one for a while. But this right here needs to get taken care of now,
Yeah.
right? Like I'll give an example. It was like today, it was like one of my special sped teachers was like, I have a training. It's at 1 o'clock. And I need coverage for my classroom at 1 o'clock so I could do the training. And she had told me before, but she reminded me today.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was like, okay, that's something that needs to get taken care of now.
Yeah.
Like everything else has to get drop. I need to make sure that this class is covered, and if that means I have to be there, then I have to be there. And so that's kind of some of the things that pop up.
Well, that kind of hits on a point. Like you have really great self-awareness in that respect when you know like you can filter what's now and what's not. And one thing in regards to student behaviors that I really wish all educators would know is that it should be a process. You don't have to react right away.
Yeah,
And I think the most important thing is to seek to understand first and then process and react and in the appropriate way, because
yeah,
not everything, like you just said, not everything has to be handled right now. And one technique that I used throughout my whole teaching when I learned it, I guess, so 10 years in, was I created, it's called like the RARE framework for dealing with student behaviors. And so the R is where you recognize, okay, what is actually happening here? Observe, like what's going on.
hmm
And what are my triggers? Like is this kid sleeping triggering me because when I was young, if you couldn't even lay your head down on the desk. Like am I getting triggered? Like what's going on? And then you kind of the next one's assess. And you ask yourself, what could be going on in this kid's head? What could be influencing the behavior? Again, you're just sitting with it. You're trying to really understand, and then you're taking a deep breath. And then the other R, is just stay calm and you approach that student or you don't. You decide, are you going to respond right now? Does it need to be taken care of right now? Or is it going to be something that's taken care of later?
hmm
And then the final piece is engage. When you do engage with a student, I think it's really important to get their perspective, let them speak, let them feel heard, let them feel, just heard and seen. Doesn't mean that what they were doing was right or whatever, but at
hmm
least you're building that trust with them. And however you engage, it needs to be respectful and from a place of, okay, you're trying to understand and you're actually having a conversation. And then from there, that starts a cycle of a really great relationship. So hopefully you don't have as many behaviors. So I
yeah,
call it the rare approach because from what I have seen, it's very rare for teachers who are coming out of college or rare for any professional development courses to teach this. And it's a very high level, behavior. You have to be very self-aware as a teacher in order
yeah,
to approach kids this way. And you don't know what you don't know. So it kind of creates a cycle of, I know you deal with difficult behaviors a lot. And so it's tough. I've listened to your podcast, and there are times when you need to be more stern and vocal, but when you take tough kid who's really, tough and going like this creates a cycle that never works. And
mm
it's counterproductive to what the end game is. And the end goal is to have a relationship with that kid so that they trust you and then there are no behaviors. And so I
yeah.
just think that's something, I know you're fully aware of it, but I just think that is a really big piece missing out there in teacher college and in professional development. So I'm trying to change that.
Good, good. I like that. When you're butting heads with a student, right? When you're being strong and they're being strong, the only time that I say you would do that is for safety reasons. That's
Yes,
the only time you would do
absolutely.
that, right? So if there's somebody about to fight somebody or
Oh, yeah.
there's danger and you raise your voice and they might come back but you're trying to save somebody, you're trying to stop something from happening. So you're going to have to assert your force, your will.
Mm-hmm.
That's the time where you would have to do something like that for safety. But besides that, you're not trying to bump heads, but with anybody at all.
No. And
My
it
my
is. Yeah.
my thing though, like, is when I approach a student with difficult behavior, I'm reading the student. Like I'm reading the student like
Mhm.
a book. I'm looking at the student's eyes. I'm looking at the student's body language, how they're breathing, their breathing pattern, where they're moving. I'm watching all of that, and they'll tell me how I need to react based on
Mhm.
their body language. And every time I approach a student, it's based on me regulating my own emotions. Like you were saying, you got to make sure that you're okay. So you
Mhm.
go in there and you regulate your emotions. You're calm, you're breathing, and you're going into that situation, reading the student, looking at the situation, being able to assess. And sometimes it's just pulling the student out to the side and just like, hey, breathe with me for a second. Come here.
Mhm.
Let's step out of what's going on right here. Let's step
Mhm.
out of this situation because this situation is fueling the anger that you're feeling right now. So let's move
Mhm.
over here for a second. Just breathe with me for a second. That's all.
Mhm.
Just breathe.
Yep.
And that's all. It's all they're breathing, they're calm, and it's simple things like, hey, what happened? What's going on? Tell me.
Mhm.
Simple. Like
Yes.
it's in my mind what that thing that explaining is simple, but you do have to be self-aware. You have to know who you are. You have to know what your triggers are. You
Mhm.
have to understand situations. And you can't be selfish. You can't be selfish. It can't be about you. It can't be about your emotions. What about me? What about when you make it about you? When this kid is upset, you're not going to find solutions because you're making it about you. Well, what about me? Like I'm upset. If so, that's something that's it's very difficult to do.
Yeah,
So
it's very.
if a kid is in the classroom and the student's like flipping out, and then you make it about you, and it's hard not to make it
Mhm.
about you. It's hard not to make it about you. What about you know and but if you make it about you, your mind blocks off from solutions. Like, how do I address
Exactly.
this?
Yes.
How do I address this situation? Because I'm making it about me, and I'm not really taking. And this is a part where I feel people will disagree with me on what I'm saying right now. People will say like, "Well, no, it's they shouldn't be acting that way. It's about me and my safety and my." And so that's a hard part.
Yeah, I think a solution is really a proactive one. And I hear it scoffed a lot about building relationships with students, but I will scream it to the mountaintops that the more you can build intentional relationships with students, the less behaviors you will have, the more joy you will have as a teacher, and it
Hmm.
alleviates a lot of the strife inside of classrooms and inside of schools. Now, there's always going to be issues, always. Like you can't avoid that,
That's
but
right.
you can get ahead of the game. Like when you're assessing your kids coming up on a situation, if you know that kid, you can read that a lot easier than if you don't know the kid.
Hmm.
And it doesn't have to be big things, it like smiling
Hmm.
at your students every day or saying hello. This was a really big one. um it takes only one adult to really like if a kid is struggling and they have nobody in their life, it only takes one caring adult to really help them
Right.
get through and maybe be successful in life. And so a simple way to build that relationship is walking in the hallway. If a kid is walking alone, say hello. Say hello to the kids. You would not believe the feedback from my school a couple years ago. We kind of tested that out, and the kids loved that. Even though they're
Hmm.
they're down, they're like, that's their teenage brain. That is it. But inside, they love that. And so just the little simple things that you can do, even popping an email, a positive email home to the parents,
Yeah.
once in a while, that really helps too. Or fist bumps, or my favorite one was checking in on them. And I tried it digitally and I tried it in paper, and I went back to paper because I feel like they were more present with the paper. And it was just as simple every other week on Fridays. They knew it. I was checking in. I gave them a sheet and it just said, how are you on like 1 through 5? What is something you can tell me about your week? Or is there something I need to know? They had to write no matter what. So they had two options. And then at the very end, it was like, how can I help you? Do you want to have lunch? Gave them five
Yeah.
options. And that was just a really simple, proactive way. And it took a little time, took 5 minutes out of my day every other Friday, but that was worth it to me because to get ahead of the game and to really get those kids to know that they matter and that I care
Mm-hmm.
about them.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah. The whole goal, I think, is to build up a family at a school, right? That
Mhm.
should be their home away from home. And again, I feel like that's a controversial topic, but
Mhm.
building that family is important because I've never worked for an organization where if somebody treated me like a robot, or if somebody didn't know my name, or if somebody didn't, acknowledge me, I work harder all of a sudden. All of a sudden, I have no relation with my boss or the people around me, and now I decide I'm going to work harder. Never the case. That
Never.
is never the case, right?
No.
And so it's about building that family community at a school. And yeah, they're not your own kids. Yes, they're not your own. Your coworkers are not your own family. But if you just create a loving environment for everybody to thrive and everybody to feel at peace and calm, um, you're doing the right thing. Keeping everybody safe, you're doing the right thing. Because, like I said, I've never worked harder if somebody acted like they didn't know me, if somebody didn't acknowledge me. I never wanted to work hard and be there ever.
Right. Exactly. And so right now we see like student apathy kind of skyrocketing. So you have to really work even harder to show those kids that you're invested in them.
But it
Because
could be simple. It could be simple, like you're saying, smile.
yes, or just don't yell at them. Like if you're yelling at them, you can't expect them to want to do better for you. I mean, think of I've thought of bosses in the past or people who were ahead of me. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was working with them, and when they rose their voice to me and screamed at me, my respect level for them plummeted.
Yeah.
I had zero, and really didn't keep them in my space any longer.
Yeah.
So I turn that with students, and I see it with my own children. And that's been really interesting, not being a teacher mom, like being home and then I go get them. And I see a different side of them because before they were coming into my classroom and it was, chaos and whatever. But
Mm-hmm.
now, how teachers speak to students really is impactful.
Yeah.
And you can walk in there and you can be a hero or you can be a zero. And to be a hero, it doesn't take that much because you can just treat them as human beings, you know, with
Yeah.
kindness and with empathy. And that's a big piece that's missing in education. And it's simple. It's not always easy, but there is a way, you know.
Yeah.
So
I had these conversations with some people in an earlier podcast where like they're talking about your the way you were brought up,
mhm,
right? The trauma that you have growing up as a kid. I started teaching when I was 22 years old, and I don't think at 22 years old, I was nowhere near equipped to handle some of the situations that I was handling. And so the way that I responded to some of the behaviors was immature, or probably not the most productive, because I wasn't equipped as a person, as a human being myself. Like I was selfish. I was
mhm,
self-centered. It was about me. It was, like a lot of the times I reacted, if I reacted poorly, was me pulling out those things that I wasn't ready. Like this is my normal way to react to a situation like this,
mhm,
and I didn't know how else to react. And it took time, and I had to rely back on, okay, what are the good things that my parents taught me? Let's do some of those things. What are some of the books that I've read? Let's rely on some of those good things. And I had to become a better person. I had to become a better person
mhm,
for me to address some of the stuff that I was dealing with in the classroom.
mhm,
That's hard to say to somebody. Like, how do you say to an educator, hey, you have to become better in order for you to connect and teach better? Like, you have to be a better person. You have to be able to know who you are, become a better person, grow, and then you will be able to handle some of these things so much better, so much easier, and then your life will be a lot easier
mhm.
because you're a better person. That's
That's
hard to say.
that's the hard part. That is where my heart really got me going on the, like healthy happy teachers, this master course that I'm creating, because from the beginning, if all teachers, if you want to be happy, from the get-go, that's a good way to get that education in on those 6 distinct things. Then maybe you will have to have less of those conversations about, being a good person. But you could model, how, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Instead of saying you have to be a better person.
See, like you, I feel like you got to hit the root. Like, let's hit the root. Let's hit the root, and let's address what's really underneath all of this. It's hitting the root. Like you had mentioned, happy. I don't know if I want to be happy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I personally don't know if I'm shooting for happy, because I know that every time I go into this position that I'm going in, it's like I'm going into a war. I'm going into a
Mm-hmm.
battle. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, I know what I'm getting myself into every single day. I know what I have to go through. I know what's the
Mm-hmm.
problems. I know all of the trouble, the mess that I'm going to get myself into. And
Mm-hmm.
it's never happy. It's like, let me be a more equipped. How
Equipped
am I?
and empowered and confident. I mean, that's what I see
Yeah,
like happy as. So yeah, for a teacher,
yeah.
it's
I'm
different.
going for, like, let me be equipped, and let me be at peace. I want
Yes.
peace.
Peace.
I want to I want calm. I want to
Mm-hmm.
go into a situation where there's I want to be a person where there's like a million things to do, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
walking whistling, because I
Mm-hmm.
know it'll get taken care of. We're good. This
Mm-hmm.
is gonna be taken care of. We'll take care of that. Don't worry. We got this. We got this. Don't worry about that. We'll take care of that right now.
Mm-hmm.
We got a plan for that. And yeah, I see this, yeah, but we're gonna take care of that. Not somebody that's frantic and like, oh, let me get over here and let me go ahead and do this and oh, over here. That will ruin a day. That will ruin a day.
Mm-hmm.
Same problems, but how I respond to the problems dictate how I feel, dictate my peace, dictate my smile on
Mm-hmm.
my face,
Mm-hmm.
how I respond to things. And so I want to be I'm shooting for, like, okay, let me be equipped, and then let me let me be at peace with my
Mm-hmm.
decisions, and like that kind of deal. That's what I'm
Yeah.
shooting for.
When I say happy teacher, to me, a happy teacher is somebody who is confident when they walk into that classroom. They are content. They know there's going to be chaos and they're okay with it. They have control. They have a very solid mindset and are equipped to deal with whatever in a calm way. And that is something that people are not taught. Like teachers are not taught. And I
Yeah.
think, when you were saying how you want to have calm, you can choose to be calm. And here's how I navigate it and how I teach other teachers to navigate things. We have something called, I call the circle of control. The
Mhm.
inside of the circle are the things that we can control. So like
Yeah.
what I eat, how I respond to people. The outside is that circle of, or is the outer circle that is like
That's no
chaos. You
control.
can't
Yeah.
control all of these things. So you really have to shift to focus your energy on what you can
Mhm.
control. And a lot of what you can control is all in here and how you react and how you can't control that the copy machine went down, but you can control how you leave there and not go to another teacher and complain about it. um,
Mhm.
you can control how you model in your classroom for students how you want them to behave. You can't control what their life is like at home. You have to
Mhm.
let those things go and really, really shift your energy to focus on what you can control, because that creates a happy teacher who is more equipped and more empowered and more confident. With your equipped piece also comes like the knowledge of student behaviors, brain, trauma, how to respond, the knowledge of belonging. Why is belonging important to human beings? Why? What is the research for that? How do we do that? So equipped is, there's a lot of pieces to being equipped too. So I think when you have it all together like that, which nobody ever is going to have everything all together. You know, there are always going to be ups and downs and shifts,
Yeah.
but really that kind of all encompasses to me when I felt like I was a happy teacher after I figured this out, you know, my first 10 years in. So yeah, I love the word equipped. I like that. So I think it's a conglomerate of a lot of things to be a happy teacher. What I used to be, and this hit me. I was on a beach in Jamaica. You know, I saved up money for a very long time. I was burned out. I was like stressed out, miserable, everything. I just needed to get away. So I got away. I was sitting on a beach, and I've been obsessed with palm trees. I don't know if you see the palm tree in the back there.
I see it.
Um, and I'm obsessed for a reason. Even more so after this. But I'm laying there and I'm reading, and there had been a hurricane this season before, and I was looking at the palm tree, and I'm like, how in the heck, God, they're just amazing things. They like can handle, you know, 145-mile-hour winds. They can come down, they flop right back up. And did you know that they have like a bud? The bud, it's called like the heart of the palm tree. And it's oftentimes at the top of the palm tree. But when the winds come, the fronds protect it, because that is the only thing that can actually kill a palm tree is that bud.
Okay.
And it's called bud rot. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like, holy buckets, I am a palm tree. I'm like, I'm a palm tree. I'm here, happy. Everybody thinks I'm okay on the outside because I'm like bubbly and feeling put together, and it looks like I'm doing well. But inside, I'm, you know, just kind of like that palm tree, like, oh, it's so beautiful. But inside, I was rotting. And I was like, at that moment, I was like, I am done. I am taking back my teacher joy. And that is where I started to really do some self-work on that circle of control, where I created the circle of control after being inspired by Stephen Covey's circle of influence. But that is such a good analogy for, you know, what a lot of teachers must be walking around like this beautiful palm tree, but inside they're rotting. And so that's dangerous. You know, we really need to take care of ourselves, number one. And I think the most powerful thing that you could do tomorrow is really implement that circle of control starting tomorrow. And you could feel different just by starting off with that. So that's why I love palm trees. And they really mean a lot to me because they are a symbol of grit and resilience and strength. And I use them in my classroom just as that. So I had that palm tree in my classroom last year, and I would point to it when I'm, you know, growth mindset, resilience, persistence, you know, perseverance.
Yeah.
So
what would you say is the reason why educators are leaving the field?
I think, one, they're not equipped. I think it's a big paradigm shift also, number two, that we have to make, because education has changed. Children have changed. We are growing up with kids addicted to cell phones, iPads, all of these things. Yet we haven't shifted how we're doing things. And that, you know, when you do the same thing over and over and you get different results, what's that called? Insanity.
Insanity.
So that is why I want to help from the inside out, because there are teachers. I mean, a lot of teachers are so passionate and they love it. And they know, you know, there's going to be tough times. It's going to be crazy. It's chaotic. And there is a lot of overwhelm. But once you recognize that, you can still move through it. On the other hand, there's a lot of negative stuff out on TikTok. And I see people coming at you a lot on your comments. I'm just like, okay, this is the issue, because we're not aware. You know, we don't know what we don't know. And I'm just like, I want to like go get them for you. But what we don't know. And so where we spend our energy, I've noticed, because when I first got onto TikTok a couple years ago, I was just seeing what was out there, and everything that came up was like complaining about something at the
Yeah.
school. Okay.
Hmm.
There are things to complain about, but not really. You can vent, which means, like I say, you can get on the vent bus or you can get on the complain train. The vent bus is like you are on it, let it out, and it's gone. Like you're done, you got it out, and then you're gonna go for a solution. The complaint train is like, long, it's just like there, and you just keep complaining, and it's not serving you at all. It's not serving the people around you. And I found that on TikTok when I would go, it was like all of this negative stuff and even the sarcasm stuff. Still, for me, it was like pinged me. I was like, ugh, I just didn't feel good. And so
Yeah.
I really shifted to making sure I was surrounding, and that's the circle of control again. Like I was surrounding myself with things that were filling me, filling my cup, not
Yeah.
draining me. And again, we don't know what we don't know, and it's a big shift. It's a big shift. It takes time. It's not an overnight thing.
Yeah.
So I think that, if you are in if you're not self-aware and you really don't like kids and you are feeling burned out and don't know what to do, then I could see why you're leaving. Um, and again, it's not their fault because they don't know what they don't know. But if you're loving kids and you're self-aware and you know how to keep yourself healthy and and you're equipped to deal with all the different challenges, that can help you stay. So it's a tough question.
Yeah, it is. It's a very tough question. The more I think about it, um, I feel like the whole family thing, the whole creating a safe school environment. That's so important. If you don't like where you're working at, you just don't want to be there. And if you don't feel like you're being supported, then you don't want to be there. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're not being supported and you don't like this place, and then you're not going to do as well as you're just not going to put that much effort into it because you just
No,
don't want to be there and you're not being supported.
no.
And it's funny, a lot of times people blame admin, and I'm an admin.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times people blame admin like it's the admin's fault.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be the admin's fault. But a lot of admin are just messengers from the top,
Mm-hmm.
right? So other people are telling what admin to do, and then admin has to filter that information and then give it to the teacher. And it depends on how you
Mm-hmm.
filter that information and how you
There you
address that situation to the teachers, right?
go.
That's
Mm-hmm.
just the most important part. So the best admin, I feel, are the best filters. They know how to communicate properly, and they filter out things, and they know how to say things in a certain way where teachers are like, that makes sense.
I
Okay, we'll
agree.
do it. We'll do it.
Mm-hmm.
The best admin do that, right? Because like I said, all admin are just like, they just from the top, they tell admin, and then admin just tell the information
Mm-hmm.
and try to make sure that from the district saying these things, and then you just got to enforce what the district says.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it's about. And if your admin is not filtering it correctly, then I could see how you don't feel supported as a teacher, and then you want to quit. And then the environment, it becomes a little toxic because then everybody's talking about how the admin's not doing these things, and we have the most crappiest admin ever, and then everybody starts talking about it, and then nobody wants to be there. And then the whole, like, so now let's say the admin come and they want to say, hey, this is what we're going to try to do. We want to try this new initiative. People are like, you're crazy. We ain't doing it.
Yeah.
We'll say yes right now in this meeting, but when we close our doors, we're not gonna do that. And
Oh man.
that's how it is. And so you have to create that environment. You have to create a supportive environment where people want to be there, and you have to support your people. And there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of tests that people got. Teachers got to implement all these tests, and they got to go over data, and they got to do all these things where it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a
Mm-hmm.
lot of pressure.
I have never been in Edmond, but I can imagine it's pretty a lonely spot to be sometimes.
Yeah, it is. It's
No?
kind of like my TikTok comments.
Yeah.
It's
It's
kind of
gotta be tough. But that's
it's
why, like, as teachers, though, like, I didn't always agree with admin, but I always did treat them with respect. I didn't think they were better than me. I think we were all in it, all in it together. But you
mhm,
don't, that's another thing teachers have to learn. You don't always get your way. Your admin is most likely doing the best that they can with what they have and the tools that they have,
mhm.
because they want you to be successful, because then the school is more successful, in everything, in culture, in academics. So I really would love to bridge that gap a little bit too for admin and teachers, because I do see a lot of um,
Yeah,
kind of, the
yeah,
strife between
yeah.
it.
The friction,
And
there's friction.
yeah, and the best thing I ever did was, it was probably like 8 years ago. I started putting a sign on my door during my lunchtime and just said, you know, appointment, whatever. So nobody could come into me, because our culture had gotten to be a spot where people were just complaining about everything, about this new administrator who came in, and he wanted us to do better. Like, he made us be accountable, and I wanted that. I wanted to get better as a teacher. Like, I didn't care, but I'm also a good listener, so I would just listen, and it's not going anywhere to anybody. But I had to stop that, because I had to protect my peace with that negativity. So if there are any teachers out there who feel like stuck between, teacher world and admin world, you can have both, and you can just set that boundary and not partake in it. But I do feel bad for the admin, and I've been thinking about that a lot as I've been creating my course and my resources, because I just think that you guys need help too. Like, I think we need to be in it together.
Yeah, and I think just like teachers, right? Like not every teacher is a good teacher, and not every admin is a good
Mhm.
admin. That's
True.
across the board. You could say that
That's
for every
good.
profession. Every
Yep.
profession, you got good police officers, you got bad police officers, you
Mhm.
got good, whatever. There are good ones and there are bad ones, and that's
Mhm.
across the board.
Yep.
Um, and so I think that as an admin, though, if one admin is a bad admin at a school, then you're affecting like I said, it's 30 teachers. Let's say you're affecting like 600 students. I don't know. You're affecting a lot of people. Whereas if there's a handful of bad teachers at a school, well, it's not that big. It's not, you could, I don't know.
Well,
But one admin could tank a
that's true.
school, could tank a school. Like the culture
That's
could just
true.
go downhill, downhill.
Fast.
And
It can go
mhm.
fast. And that is a good thing that administration doesn't have tenure, because then you can maybe get that out. That's a bad thing my teachers have tenure, because then you cannot get rid of the teachers who really should not be there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, I don't know, education now, 2024, it's a tricky thing. 2024 has been the most trickiest it's ever been. And, like the more and more people I talk to, the more and more I feel like, man, there's a lot of problems out there. We need more solutions. We need more positivity. We need to bridge the gap between admin and teachers. And, like when I first started my TikTok, I really never said out the gate I was an admin. I didn't say it. I started off like, here are tips from the classroom, tips from the classroom,
Mhm.
tips. All I did was give tips. And, cool. I'm giving tips. And then, I think I changed my name and I put like AP in front of my name early on or something like that. And then that was like a hint. And then, afterward, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to be me. Like whatever me is, that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
I'm an admin, and this is what it is. And I'm gonna invite people. I'm gonna make a podcast, and I'll say it. I'm an admin, and and people are gonna say whatever they're gonna say in the comments. And now before it used to affect me. Like before it
Mhm.
bothered me. Like a long time ago, it bothered me. Now I see a comment, I'm like, I'll even block me. block me or I'll block you, and then we don't ever have to see each other's stuff ever again. You don't have to say nothing to me. I did block. Well, I'll block. You
Mm-hmm.
know, like I don't have time for before it would affect me. Like, oh no, somebody with no followers and no pictures said something to me that was negative.
Well, that's somebody who is within your space probably and doesn't, they're getting jealous or,
Well, whoever it is, again, that's not my concern. That's not my concern.
no,
But
exactly.
like I'm just like I'm gonna be me. I'm gonna make my podcast. I'm gonna put up my videos. I'm gonna put up the clips that I want to put up, and whoever likes it, and whoever doesn't, great. They don't, and I'm gonna find my people, and whoever my
Well,
people are, I'm gonna find them. And
yeah.
that's kind of
And
how it's gone. That's
yeah.
how it's
And
gone.
you come from a place of serving and, people need your message. They need your message.
I would, yeah, I would hope so. I would hope so. One of my goals, I said this in another podcast, one of my goals is to get to 52 podcasts in 1 year. I don't
You
know.
can
I'm
do
really
it.
close to it. I'm really close. So I'm like this might be number 50. I'm not too sure, but it's really close what number it is. But I'm right there. My goal was to get 52 podcasts and see where it takes me. And I've enjoyed the long conversations with people, and I would love to have conversations with people who disagree with me. Come on this podcast. If you, I'm gonna make it right. If you disagree with me, come on this podcast. I would love to have a conversation with you because I want to hear what your truth is. I want to hear what you have to say. What is it? Okay, let's say you disagree with everything I say. Then how are you being successful in the classroom? Teach me how all the things that I'm saying is not a good way to do in the classroom. You show me what the proper way is. And I'll listen. I would love to hear it. I would love to. And, I never get anybody to disagree with me. Like somebody that was like, I haven't got it yet. I haven't got it. And I would love to.
I disagree with you?
I would love to get somebody to sit here and disagree with the things that I have to say. Cause I want to hear a different point of view. Like if I say build relationships with students, that's probably the most important thing you could do. There are people that disagree with me on that. Like they would disagree with you if you said that. I'll say something like, I would say safety first. I would say, show love, demonstrate love to students like you would demonstrate in the Bible, and build up student self-esteem. Do those things and you'll be successful in the classroom. That's what I say. That's the core of everything that I talk about.
Yep.
That's the core of everything I say. So if I talk about how I go up to a student and I control my own breathing and I approach him and I pull him to the side, that's because I love him and care about that student. That's all that is. And I want him safe. And I pull him, you're angry. Let's pull you to the side. I want you safe. Let's go over here. I care about you. Let's calm down and let me find a way to boost you up. How do I boost your self-esteem right now at this moment? That's everything I do.
I know it is everything you do. And the people who will disagree with you have never learned about that. They haven't learned, or maybe they were never treated that way.
Maybe they weren't treated. Yeah, I don't know.
But even so, they just don't know yet. And so you're educating people, and inspiring people, which is so important. And I like how you mentioned you're being yourself. Like you should be proud to be an administrator. And I wish teachers would, like my hope for teachers is to really see that they're never just a teacher. They are leaders. They are like the most important people. They're raising generations.
Yes.
And that did not hit me until like my 5th year of teaching. And I was always like, oh, I'm just a teacher. I'm just a teacher. And I was at a bachelorette party, my good friend's bachelorette party. And we were at this kind of fancy place down in the cities. And I was waiting in line at the bar and it was very, very busy. And I was talking to this guy and it was a very like affluent bar. And I was talking to this guy who apparently was Paul Mitchell's grandson, whatever, didn't matter. But he was asking what I did. And I said, I'm a teacher. So I went up to the bar and there was another guy standing there and he looks over at me and he goes, you're just a teacher. You can wait. And oh man, you think Mama Bear's dad? Holy crap! My girlfriends and I can regulate, but That was when I
Yeah.
was younger, and that made me realize I would never, ever say that I am just a teacher ever again. I would never feel bad about it because that guy, holy buckets, he was
Mm-hmm.
so in the wrong, rude. That was just not okay. And it was a good thing again that happened because then I was like, heck yeah, no, we are freaking teachers. we
Yeah.
are we're changing
Yeah.
lives. We might be that one person for somebody who has nothing at home,
That's
has no
right.
love at home.
That's
And
right.
I look at that as a really awesome responsibility, but I also take it as one that like helps me get some weight off my shoulders because if I can't get all the things done, I can show up there the best I can. But if I can't get all the things done at the end of the day, I'm there to model and guide and lead that kid to feel
Yeah.
seen, cared for, and loved. And so for me, it lifts it off the shoulders. But if I could say something to the teachers, you are never just a teacher. Don't ever let anybody put you down for that. It is one of the most like important jobs on the planet, and
Absolutely.
it's the least recognized or appreciated. And it's not going to be right now.
Yeah.
Over time, I hope it does. But that's something we can't control. We can know that we're freaking rock stars.
Yeah. I
I get a
respect.
little heated about it
Yeah.
because
Yeah. Good. I could feel your emotion, right? But
oh, they
I
had to pull me off. They had to pull me out there. Oh my
yeah.
gosh, that was embarrassing after the fact. But at the moment, I was like, "Don't you dare! We are not
Yeah.
just teachers."
I respect teachers so much. I respect. I know how hard the job is. I did it for whatever 18 years. I know how hard the job is. I know what it entails, and I respect teach. Without the teachers, we as a school wouldn't be functioning. It was, and then even to without the assistance, the help that we get across the board,
Mm-hmm.
without them, we'd be lost, like the
I
school
know.
would fall apart. Like all my
Mm-hmm.
sped assistants, shout out to the paras out there, the special education assistants, man, their
Seriously,
job is rough. So
and they are
today
not. They also are not equipped.
they're
They
not they're
no,
not
and it's not. It breaks my heart. That's why things will change when like in January, my course is going to be coming live, and I am helping to change education from the inside out
I hope you
because,
do. i hope
yeah,
i hope you I want your website. It's not up yet.
yeah, it's coming soon.
It's coming soon.
I'm
I saw
telling
some
you.
palm trees. It's
Oh
coming
my
soon.
gosh. You can go there and you can get into my healthy, happy teacher world. That's the thing that, I better reconsider that because I don't want people to think that I'm not realistic or knowledgeable by saying happy, you know?
Happy
Because
is
happy,
tricky. Happy is tricky. Could I just give you the male point of view?
I would
The
love it.
male male
Yes.
male point of view here.
Yes.
I
Please.
don't know if males are thinking about happy. I
Other
know
thing,
I'm not thinking about happy. I'm thinking about like duty. Like it's my duty to take care of my family. And when I take care of my family, no matter how difficult or frustrating it is, I took care of them. I feel great. If I go to work and I took care of situations and I helped this person, I helped that person, and I would myself wasn't happy. I was just like taking care of these things, the things that I had to take care of because they're under my care. I feel good about myself.
mm-hmm,
Happiness does not like even like for me, I'm not like I want to be I'm not even thinking about happiness. I'm thinking about duty. I got to take care of these things. When I
mm-hmm.
take care of these things, I feel at peace. I could sleep at night. Like if I were to walk with my family, let's just say, and somebody robbed us and I allowed it to happen because I was scared. I allowed it to happen and that we got robbed. I would not be able to sleep at night. I would not be, but we're all, I would not be able to sleep because I felt like I didn't take care of my duty as a male to do something. So,
Okay.
like, for me, it's like I'm shooting for
I'm typing it into
duty,
Chat GPT. Synonyms.
duty. I feel like
Duty.
it's a duty when I take care of my obligations. I don't know how else to say it, but when I take care of the things I need to take care
Responsible.
of, my
Devoted.
responsibilities.
Devoted. Obliging. Compliant. Conscientious.
No, no. When I take care of my responsibilities like I'm supposed to take care of them, then I feel better. When I take care of my duties, I feel much better.
So you're like accomplished. You feel accomplishment
I feel peace. I
and peace.
feel peace.
You
Peace.
know,
I'm
I
shooting for
think
peace.
I think that's what teachers want ultimately, and to be a happy one, you have peace. But I like peace too because peace isn't like everybody thinks that it's just like always meditating. That is not that. A peace is like a contentedness where you enjoy, like you're, hey,
Yeah.
I'm feeling good today to walk into my classroom, and I'm being responsible. I can handle this, and so I
I,
like peace too.
I don't think that everybody thinks for instance, I feel like I said earlier in the podcast that this is like a battle that I feel like I go into every single day. And I don't think that everybody feels that way, but know that you're going into a battle every single day. Every
Mm-hmm.
single day you're going to battle. You're going to bat for these kids. There's forces that are trying to um, keep your small group of 24 kids or whatever it is from
Mm-hmm.
being successful. And your job as a classroom teacher is to make sure that you just keep those forces away, and you lift up your kids. And as an admin, my job is to make sure that I let my teachers teach, take off the pressure a little bit, let them be who they're supposed to be,
That's awesome.
and battle for every teacher, every sped assistant, every parent, every that's the job. And that's not a happy job for me. That is not a
Mm-hmm.
happy job. That's a fucking, I don't want to curse. That is like
Pure
um
hell.
yeah, I'm not like it's not a happy thing. It's like you have a duty to perform, and for however long you're in this position, for however long it is, you're going to perform this duty to the best of your ability. And
You're just
that's
gonna
just it.
suck it
That's
up
just
and
it.
do it.
That's
Get her
just
done.
it.
Get her done.
Yeah, that's just how I feel. Like that's just it. Because and if I could, if there's bright moments to in a day, great, I'll take those bright. But it's not like I don't want bright moments. There
Mm-hmm.
was a bright. I'll give you one example real quick. Today, bright moment. I'm outside. I'm watching a group of kids eat lunch. Like it's all the alternative classroom students. They're all sitting right here, and I'm talking to a sped assistant, and we're talking or whatever. And I turn my back, and I'm looking at the kids, and then a little girl is choking. The little girl's choking. She's choking on a carrot. Choking a carrot, and this other supervision aide brings that little girl. So she's been choking for a while. She brings the little girl to the sped assistant, and I turn around, and the sped assistant's hitting the little girl in the back, and the girl's turning red, like red, and she can't breathe. And I'm like, oh my God. And I go over there, and then the sped assistant goes behind her, gives her the Heimlich maneuver.
Mm-hmm.
Little girl throws up whatever she has in her mouth. And then me and the sped assistant look at each other, and we both start crying. We're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh my God, you just saved somebody's life. You
Mm-hmm.
saved somebody's life right
Mm-hmm.
now. And nobody, you saw it. Nobody else knows about this but us
Mm-hmm.
three right now, and the little girl. And we got really emotional. We're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. And she goes, Mr. Vergara, I'm gonna take her nurse. And I was like, we'll call her parents. Take her to the nurse. We'll call her parents. We gotta do these reports, whatever. We gotta take care of
Yeah.
the district portion,
But
right?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we could take care of all that. But I was like, my God, that just happened right now. And this lady right here just saved somebody's life. And you're a sped
Mm-hmm.
assistant, and you just brought a kid. Like, here's a
You.
kid, save this
Yeah.
kid.
Mm-hmm.
And she did it. And
Mm-hmm.
it was such a bright moment. And we were
Mm-hmm.
almost, I can't even look at the lady. I can't even look at the lady in the eyes. I was like, I can't even look at you. You're such a
Mm-hmm.
superhero. I can't even look at you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that happened. And those moments, that's a bright moment that happened today where it could have went south, but this
Mm-hmm.
person just stepped in
That's
and
awesome.
just saved somebody. And
Mm-hmm.
that was amazing. Bright moment. And
Good
teachers and
job.
everybody and sped assistants, shout out to all of them. You guys are amazing people.
Yeah, no kidding.
Molly, tell us more about your program before we end. I want to get it out there. I want you to be successful. What's happening? So when
Yeah,
does this
well now
launch? What's happening?
I'm gonna have to rethink my name, but it's PD that actually matters from somebody, me, who's been in the grind, who loves reading gaining knowledge, and I've narrowed it down. It's called the Healthy Happy Teacher Master Course, and it's where I help teachers thrive, not just survive, with no stress and overwhelm. It's all the things I've learned over the years that I've finally put together, and it's going to actually take a load off of people's shoulders. And it's PD on demand when they want to do it, from wherever they want to do it, maybe a beach under a palm tree. Mm-hmm. And they can do it at their own pace, but they always have me. I will be doing lives each week for anybody who's in the program. And so for questions and answers, and we have a really awesome community that comes with it. And so I'm just really excited to help change education from the inside out, because it needs help, and the teachers need help, and the students need help. And I'm really excited about that. I also have created, they need tools too, like you were saying, equipped. They need, okay, so you should have systems in your classroom. They're like, well, where do I get systems? I have those systems for them that they can take and use. So I have actionable steps, tangible tools that they can use right in their classrooms as well, because that is definitely a need out there too. They're kind of pulling everything from everywhere to try to put things together. And so my program has all of that together for them so that they can really be healthy, happy, equipped teachers.
Yeah. Well, Molly, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I greatly appreciate your time. This is second podcast you've been on here. I think you might have been like maybe the number 4 or something like that.
That was before I took the year off, or it was 2 years ago. I think.
Yeah, it was a year. It's been within the year, because I've only done it for a year. So, but you were probably number 4, and this might be number 50. I'm not too sure, but yeah. And so thank you for coming
having
back.
Me.
Thank you for coming back on the podcast.
Yeah, well, I'm really honored, and I'm really so grateful for your message to the world, to admin, teachers, students. I think it's a very powerful message that is so needed, and you are changing lives. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And I'll never forget holy buckets. I'm going to start to say holy buckets. Holy buckets.
Oh my, don't you say that out there? Yeah, it's a Minnesota thing. Yeah, you betcha. Oh, for
you betcha. All right, Molly.